I'm Cadillac Dixon. I'm the Draw My Life Prison Wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice. Hoping, because you got to hold your breath for justice. To see justice before all face to blink. Yes, hiss your girl Cadillac. So, guys, I am coming through today, June the 19th, 2025. Yes, it is Juneteenth. So happy Juneteenth to everybody celebrating it. It is also my cousin's birthday. Feel the bad guy. Um, so on Juneteenth though, 1865, basically the last of the slaves found out that they were free. And so I guess it's a celebration of something monumental, but my opinion, and for entertainment purposes only, I don't believe we were truly set free. We were basically set into a new form, like slavery by a different name, basically, in a different manner, a more acceptable manner, a manner that even many of us support, right? So there's many phases, but where slavery is today is basically mass incarceration. So it was so there are steps in between mass incarceration. So it went from slavery, um, chattel slavery, to now the ending is where we're at now with mass incarceration. So I don't believe we were ever, sorry, my contact, really truly set free, because free means no bounds. You're not bounding us, you're not holding us back, you're not obstructing us, you're not suppressing, you're not oppressing, you're not depressing, you're taking your hands off the situation, allowing us to live life to the fullest and to the fullest of our capabilities and to the fullest that we're able to, live. That saying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, you would allow us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and not cut the bootstraps, right? If we were truly free. So there's levels to freedom. So this form of slavery may have, it may be levels down from the previous forms of slavery, but it's still happening. It never really ended. But that is not the point of this video. I'm just starting it out there. I do have an old vlog from Juneteenth 2022. I never ended up editing it because I stopped editing, like, because it proved to be kind of a waste of time. Not because, I mean, videos that you edit do better, but I was spending days editing like maybe one single video and not really getting views. So I knew for me to continue on with YouTube, because honestly I was just going to quit, because my time is precious, very, very precious. All of our time is precious, and in the end, that's all you really have. So I would rather you waste my money than my time. So I said until I start getting more views, I would not be editing. If I make a mistake, if something, I have to just leave it. So I'm gonna go back and find those and release them today, right? But they're throwbacks, and it's Throwback Thursday, so that'll work out. That is very strategic. That is very strategic. You know how we think that we are, there's no purpose behind something, but things tend to line up. So, Throwback Thursday, Juneteenth, I can release my old vlogs, right? But anyways, today I wanted to answer a question. I was getting ready for work, listening to a YouTube video from 1250 podcast, and it's basically about the Ryan Hinton case and the new updates where the officers basically deleting him is justified. Okay, so the prosecutor says that it is justified. No need to take this to the grand jury. We're just gonna, leave it at that. Basically, what they say is they investigate themselves and come back. Now, the reason why people feel like it's justified is one, because it's coming from the mouth of an officer. And in this society, it's like if anything comes out their mouth, it's like God Himself said it. They do not question officers at all. So the thing is, even if you are on the up and up, which I be on the up and up, but if someone questions a decision I made, like literally, like basically saying nobody should be above questioning your decision, because though you may, you're the upstanding, keeping everybody safe, you're still human, and your human gets in the way at your job. My human gets in the way at my job at times. Because, see, I'm not perfect, and neither are officers. And people don't want to acknowledge that. Somehow, officers are cut above us. Like they were made, maybe God made them like super special, and they don't do nothing wrong. And they've never leaned to their own biasness. They never, overstep their bounds. Um, so they're just higher than us. When it's actually the other way, they're public servants. We actually pay them. How the people that you pay terrorize, allegedly terrorize that community that is paying them. Like, that doesn't make sense. But the reason people are mad, because there are protocols, there are rules, there are scenarios where you are supposed to do the procedures that have been laid out for you by your job. Just like, okay, I have a procedure at my job. Let's say this, and you're expected to go by procedure. So I handle cash, right? And the protocol for cash is that any bill over $20 should be marked with the counterfeit pen. It is our option if we want to mark $10 and $5, because people do tend to do counterfeits of those because people aren't checking them. So they do encourage you, but you must mark any bills 20 and up, right? So if you come across a counterfeit bill, they told us to don't alert the guest. You are to tell the guest that you have did your security checks and you just need a second eyes to look at it. Like, don't say, hey, girl, this ain't real. Did you just make this? Like, this is fake. You're not supposed to handle it in that manner. So this is our protocol. Our protocol is to always keep the guests, because sometimes the guests may not know, they may not know that they have a counterfeit bill. So it's not always their fault because money is exchange. It's a currency. It goes around. It circulates. So if you're getting change back from somewhere, you're not really all the time paying attention to, is this real? Like, you ain't got the counterfeit pen on you when people are giving your change back. So you could have easily just got it change back from some place you patronize, and then you go to use that change somewhere else, and they are basically saying that it is counterfeit. Now, I have side note. I'm sorry, y'all know Cadillac get off track. My daughter, I had literally went into the gas stations just started. I think it's Circle K or Shell gas station. One of them just started doing the self check not too long ago. So me, your girl, don't be having no money. I say I ain't gonna say I'm broke. I just ain't got no money because I ain't trying to call in no more of that. So I would literally get gas and different things with change. I have change that adds up, but the cashiers get attitudes when you come in with change. So I'm like, perfect. This is the self check where I can, take as long as I need to put my change in there. So I ended up getting a $10 bill back. I don't know if I asked for cash back or what in that situation, but I got cash back and I gave it to my daughter because she needed it for something. I really don't even know what she needed it for. But oh yeah, I do know what she needed it for. We were preparing for my grandson. We were buying things that she needed. I think it was a little refrigerator to keep his bottles in, like so you don't have to get up in the middle of the night and go get the bottles, fix the bottles. They're right by the bedside. So the lady was selling it off of Facebook Market, and we met her like somewhere way out. I don't even know where we were. We were way out. And she gave us the refrigerator. She took the $10 bill. So we're just sitting there because I got my daughter, I got my granddaughter, and I don't know if my niece and nephew, I think they were there too. So I got a carload of kids. And we're just sitting there before, I can adjust and pull off. So the lady zooms and rushes and sits right back in the car next to us. And she's like, I'm like, dang, that's kind of weird. She just zooms back up and we're still sitting in the car. And she's like, this is a counterfeit. This is not real. You gave me a $10 that's not real. And I'm like, how the $10 not real? Now I work with money. I felt it. I'm like, this thing feels real. And it came out of machine. It came out of the automated whatchamacallit machine, the self-check. And those things, they don't even accept the bill if it's counterfeit. They won't accept dirty coins that have like little crud on it. It won't even take that. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure this is not counterfeit. But the lady, so it has some type of stain on it, but money goes everywhere. That was the way it came out the machine when I got it. So she was saying that it was counterfeit, but I know how to check it. I know the watermarks to check for. I know the shifting ink. I know all of these things. So I'm like, this thing is not I bet my bottom dollar this is not counterfeit. But this girl is gonna assume we're trying to give her counterfeit money, and then I don't know. Because it is attached to my daughter did the sale through my Facebook, like the networking, because she didn't have a Facebook. So I don't want her saying that I came with no counterfeit money and stuff, like being accused of something I didn't do. And you don't know if that could get you flagged or whatever. So I'm like, okay, we at Wawa. I went in and got another $10 bill. She gave me that one back. So she was like, just be careful with that. I'm like, okay, girl. Okay, girl. So I take the $10 bill and I'm like, money, we got to use this somewhere because I don't think that was fake. And I just want to find out if it's, real or fake. It ended up, money was like, no, because if it's fake, we going to jail for nothing. Like, for real. So then I was like, well, I'll just take it to work and I can use the counterfeit pen to 100% verify whether it was real or not, and the thing was real. So back to the other story. So that was a side note story. Back to the other story. The guests may not know that they have a counterfeit bill, so you're not to blame them. You are to you're not to escalate the situation. You're not to escalate the whatever is happening in the moment. You stay calm. You just say, "Oh, I need a second set of eyes to look at this," and that's it. So that's the protocol. So let's say that the guests come up and they got that counterfeit, and I'm like, "Oh no." Ooh, y'all came up here, y'all trying to buy food with counterfeit money. Like, what if I made a whole big scene and I was doing the most? Like, you're not even supposed to let the bill leave the sight of the guest because the guest can say you switched it out. So these are the protocols we're supposed to follow, and there is a reason for them. Like I just said, the reason the guest could say you switched it out. So there's reasons for every procedure and protocol. Am I doing my job when I don't go by protocol? So that is what people are trying to say. If the protocol is not when a person is fleeing and they're not trying to harm you, they're saying that the harm was just by the weapon being there. But that can't be the protocol, that every situation where there's a weapon, you're allowed to to delete. That's not the protocol. So it is best for officers to go by the protocols. That way, it's more transparent. People are not blaming you for it. They're not in an uproar. The reason people get in an uproar is because you skip the steps. You're not going by the procedure. You're pushing the procedure to the side. Like, you learn the procedure. That's like me learning how to handle counterfeits. And when a counterfeit comes, I push all that out the window and I do whatever I feel like doing. That is what people are saying. So it was a question that 1250 podcast posed. And that's what I wanted to do. Sorry, that long intro just to get to this point. He posed the question, do you believe in this system or not? Why or why not? What makes you believe in it? What makes you not? So I'm going to answer this from my perspective, from my different things I've been through in my life and my opinions. So this is for entertainment purposes, and this is basically my take on why I do not believe in the system. So I wasn't always this way. I think you by default believe in the system until something happens that flips a switch and you don't believe in it. It's usually by personal interaction with it. Now, personal interaction is not watching the news. It is not watching from afar. It is you actually in the seat of needing justice from the system and you being denied it. It's that. That is what will flip that switch. It make you realize, and it's like it opens a whole can of worms, and you realize that it's basically the direct opposite of what you thought it was. It doesn't work anything like you thought it was. It works the opposite way. So by default, I think everybody believes in the system. And until you have that experience, or you maybe first eyewitness someone close to you in that experience, then it switches the flips the switch, and then you don't believe in it. So there, because it's the default setting, most people do. And that makes it very hard to reform any system, because the majority, that's all you really need in society, is a majority rules. And if the majority believes everything is okay, baby, it's okay. The minority is going to have a very hard time trying to get any change. This is why, as a criminal justice and prison reform advocate, it is very hard to get any change because the majority thinks that it's working the way it should. It's keeping them safe, putting away the bad guys. It's doing, you know what I'm saying? So people don't see the flaws because they never have to interact with it. It's until you interact with it, are you like, wait, hold on. Why is someone not doing nothing about this? Someone's trying. Someone is trying to do something about it, but they just don't have to cater to the minority. They have to cater to the majority, and the majority don't care. They think it's working. So the things in my life that happened made me completely not believe in this ish justice. Like, what really is justice? Real true justice, or the illusion of justice that the systems give us? Okay, so the first thing, well, I don't know. I ain't gonna do no particular order, but these are my situations, my encounters when I needed help from the system and baby, I got nothing. Or when I needed justice from the system and I got injustice. I had just paid off my car. I barely work. I work to live and I live to work. Hustle hard until it hurts. I work my fingers down to the bone. And once I pay my bills, ain't got nothing to come home with. So for me to pay off my car, just paid off my car, and it's almost like occurs as soon as you pay off your car, something happens. I was out. I was at Mardi Gras at a theme park. People were drinking, acting crazy. I was with my little nephew. I want to get home. Let me get home. I wanted to stop by McDonald's, but I said, no, I just want to get home because I don't want to be out here with these people drinking and driving or whatever. Ironically, I get 20-something minutes away from the theme park. I'm at home. And I pull up. I get out the car, take my nephew in. I lay on the couch, and I get ready to go to bed. I am praying. I heard another story time like this. This prayer is one of those, God, I can't take this. Like, literally, something has to give now or I have to give up. It was one of those prayers. Those now or never prayers. And as soon as I was praying like that, I heard, pow! It sounded like an explosion. And I seen another story time with a girl saying that she was praying, and as soon as she was praying, which she knew she shook something in the spirit because a car plowed into her house at that moment. It's very similar to what happened to us. I'm like, what in the world? So all of a sudden, my mom jumps up and she's like, Kita's car. A drunk driver plows into my car, my parked car, pushes my parked car that I just paid off about 20 feet up, pushes the car, busts my dad had a custom made brick mailbox. Blows those bricks everywhere, pushes my car. He gets my grill from my car stuck on his car. He reverses, pulls it off, speeds off. So my dad jumps into the car and tries to basically get his tag and see, like, he's calling the police at the time, and they're like, don't pursue him, fall back, we'll get him. So my dad falls back like they said. He does get my grill back. I don't know how he got my grill back, but he got my grill back. And The officers follow him to his house where he was basically passed out in the seat, the driver's seat, and like knocked out. They don't know if he was asleep or just whatever. He could have killed us. Like, he could have unalived us. I'm sorry, YouTube friendly. He could have unalived us. If I had have stopped at McDonald's, most likely I could have been pulling up, getting my nephew out at that moment. That's why I didn't stop at McDonald's. Like I told you, there's a reason for everything. God spared us. So this man, they told me he had no insurance. So not only is my car totaled, they told me he had no insurance, which later we find out he had insurance. But once you already file a car on your insurance, it's your accident. I had to pay out the yin yang for insurance. My new car was totaled. I got only $5,000. My car I just paid off. I got $5,000. What car am I going to get to replace this? So I had to go without a car. And I had to get right back into car payments when I just paid my car off. This man spent one night in jail. He didn't even have to take the car that he totaled on his insurance that was filed on me. So he didn't even get the brunt of that. I basically was just screwed all the way around. And now I can't even replace my car and I got to get back into payments. Did the system work for me? Mm-mm. Another time, another accident, just three years ago, because my granddaughter just turned 3. That's how my granddaughter came into this world. My daughter was coming from school. She was 9 months pregnant. She had a hard pregnancy with my granddaughter. Her person she was with, the father of the child, was driving because her feet were so swollen. Now, I told that girl, don't let nobody drive the car. But she did. And the one time, so that's why it's good to listen, because God will rig it up where the moment you don't do the right thing will be that moment, right? So in this moment, which is so crazy, I'm praying again. And in this moment, I surrendered my daughter back to the Lord. I said, I don't know what's happening. I cannot, she's yours. I need you to I give her to you. I cannot, what can I do? It's out of my hands. I've done all that I can do, and I can't beat myself up about not doing more. There's nothing more I can do. So I did another prayer like that. Not even a moment after finishing this prayer does my dad come in and said money was hit. I'm like, she was hit. A big truck, those rig trucks. She was in a gas station. She wasn't the driver. The driver was pulling out of the out of the driveway from the gas station as a rig truck came straight across the opening. Now, any driver knows you're not to drive in a turning lane until you're ready to turn. So for the driver, the truck, to have drove straight across, he was in the turning lane too early. He was supposed to get in the turning lane after he passed the gas station to turn. But he's just driving down this turning lane. The officer takes the report and, well, they totaled her car, her paid off car. She definitely could not afford another car. They gave her then only $20,000. And this is in the height of inflation. They gave only 20,000. We couldn't even find no type. Even in used cars, we're giving no warranty, not even 30-day warranty. There was no way for her to replace or even attempt to replace, not even getting a several years back vehicle. She still could not replace her vehicle. And we pay insurance all the time. How is that fair? And then when you utilize it, you're screwed. In that situation, that accident, they called it that the driver was not at fault. How is the driver not at fault when he's doing the incorrect thing? Now, I know you learn hindsight that when you have an accident with a truck, it's a completely different ball game. And most time those trucks are attached to companies. And the way this system and the way they favor companies, and whoever has the most money usually gets the biggest result. You need a special lawyer to be able to fight when you are in a truck accident. So they deemed my daughter to have ran up under the truck, pulled out in front of the truck. I'm sorry, I was thinking about the accident with my mother when they said, I'll tell y'all that one real quickly next. But they said that she was pulling out in front, he was pulling out in front of the truck. But the truck was not even, they were turning where they were supposed to turn. The truck was not supposed to be flying down the turning lane until ready to turn, which meant he was supposed to turn after. He was supposed to get into the turning lane after the gas station. My daughter ended up with injuries to her neck and back, and it caused distress. My granddaughter at that point was like, let me up out of here. Let me to jail up out of here. And then my daughter started threatening to go into labor. My granddaughter would not stop pushing after that. It caused stress and trauma on the baby. So that's how she ended up coming into the world. And ended up, my daughter had to take another accident, which my daughter's on my car insurance. So my car insurance goes through the roof. I'm already insuring someone that is under, 25, which now I'm hearing that even when they turn 25, now they've made it where the insurance doesn't drop at that age. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So that was not correct. Now, it's not all accidents, but I'm finna tell you again. I got another one. I just got so many scenarios of where the innocent party does not get anything. The one that does wrong gets the winnings. Okay, so when I was a little girl, my mother was driving. She had her friend in the passenger seat. My mother was in the driver's seat. I was sitting behind my mother. My sister was in the car seat next to me. We're driving, going to drop my sister off and me, I think, and then my mother was going to head to work and drop her friend off or whatever. At a stop sign, a truck is stopped. My mother is stopped behind the truck. A few minutes later, the truck starts going in reverse. And everyone's like, what is they doing? What are they doing? And everyone was so panicked. And the truck would not stop reversing. And my mother just took the horn and just held the horn, like pushed it and would not let it. Because before she was beeping the horn, but he would not stop. He just kept backing over the car, and it even to the point where he was cracking the windshield. And finally, he finds that his car is all the way up on the car, and he was about to start backing over us. Like, he didn't even know he was backed up on a car. He jumps out. I'm sorry. I backed up to let someone else go past. I didn't know. His story changed once they went to court. My mother suffered neck injuries. I remember my mother being in a cast. She had all the issues that I have with the TMJ and all of that. My mother got paid nothing. They said that she ran up under the car. They turned around and blamed it all on her. And her whole life, she had neck problems from that point. I had another instance. This is the last one I'm gonna tell you about a car accident where literally me and my homegirl were riding, and I went to back up and then turn. So it was gonna be like a 3-point turn. And my friend is like, "Kitty, you hit a car." I'm like, "How could I hit a car? Wouldn't I feel impact?" Girl, a car pulled up to my bumper and said I hit them. There were scratches on the car up under their car where nothing on my car could have touched. But they said that because you're backing up, you're automatically at fault. That person pulled up to my bumper and they was not, what was her name? What was that girl name? Pull up to my bumper, baby. I can't think of her. Patra. They weren't Patra, but they said that they pulled up to my bumper. They pulled up to my bumper. I did not hit them. But they got over and insurance paid them. And I took the blow again. So with driving, I had the worst luck with the system defending me being the innocent driver. Okay, let's go to my mother's. Y'all know, y'all hear me talk about this a lot. My mother's wrongful deletion, getting an outpatient surgery. I kept trying to notify the nurses that my mother's blood pressure was dropping. They told me, "Oh, we gonna know something's wrong before you do." I'm like, "But I'm looking at it. It's not." So fast forward, she had a procedure to pass a kidney stone, and she passed from that. The doctor sent her off to ICU and never came back. And they kept saying that we cannot do anything until he comes back. But he never came back. He came back in the morning, and whatever he tried to do, it was too late. Really, my mother needed a blood transfusion, but she never received it. So she passed at 53 after getting her master's. Right when her life was getting together and she was finally she was gone. No lawyer would take the case. It was negligence why my mother was no longer here. It wasn't a thing that it had to be, it had to happen. But nobody would take the case. Nobody would fight for us. All of Florida. And if you ever had legal problems and you realize it's not against an individual, like when it's a legal problem against an individual, you may be able to, there you could win. But when it's against a industry, a company, the little guy doesn't win. That was crazy. Like, literally, your negligence led to my mother not being here. And your hands are tied. You can't do anything. Another situation. So, right after my mother passed, the week before her funeral, in between that phase after she passed, and before she's buried, another injustice from the system. I had a slip and fall at the super center. I worked for the super center for 11 years. I had 401k. I had insurance, which was hard to get insurance again. Insurance. I am legally blind, and I always had to keep insurance just for when I need my cornea transplant. I had stocks. I had all kinds of stuff. And plus, I had been there so long that my rate of pay was decent. But I could not stand that job. That job, oh my gosh. But it felt like I was stuck. My birthday, I tell you, my mama was buying me Ice Cube tickets. I seen Ice Cubes, but it wasn't that one. It was the one in the ER. I go into the store. It's a rainy day like today. And there's buggies, wet, dripping buggies on the slick floor. That is not where the buggies go. The buggies go in the buggy corral. I worked at that super center, so I know buggies. You don't randomly leave wet buggies on the slick floor. You put them in a buggy corral. But someone just pushed them in from outside on the slick floor. As soon as I went to walk in, I slip and fall straight flat back on my back. My head bounced on the ground. The back of my head was swollen a knot. I couldn't even move. I literally thought I was deleted on my birthday. My hands were stuck in an up position. I couldn't move. I could see though, and I see my family steady walking in. They didn't realize I had fell behind them. And maybe 5 minutes later, my hands became unstuck and my mouth could move. And that's when I was like, I'm not all right. I'm not all right. I was in so much pain. This is why I got the herniated disc. I have 5 pinched nerves in my neck. I have TMJ in my jaw. I have so many health issues behind this slip and fall. When I slipped and fall, the guy at customer service said he thought I was playing in the store. So he didn't call nobody because he thought I was playing. Then I could not find a lawyer again. When you are taking on these big companies, don't look for help nowhere because they have these behind the scenes deals. No lawyer would take the case, and they would tell you, I can't tell you why. We can't take the case. Because that's the first thing people holler out. Those that still believe in the system. Oh, I hope you sue them. I know you better sue them. Oh, if I fall, I'm going to sue. Girl, you're going to have the hardest time trying to sue. And when it's legitimate. They messed me up. And I got nothing for it. But lifetime injuries that need to be under care, but I can't afford care anymore. So it is the grace of God that I'm still walking. But I can't be under care anymore. This is why I go through it. This is why it's so difficult for me to work. This is why it's so difficult for me to even be the cosmetologist or the graphic designer that I am. So all this talent, but because a company did something that led to my injuries, I can't hardly work. I could barely take care of myself. So I find one attorney that is willing to take my case. Basically because he was independent. First thing he told me, I'm not like the other lawyers, which he ended up being just like the other lawyers. He says he's going to fight. I'm going to fight for you, Ms. Dixon. He basically, what I think he did was hold up the case because you got statute of limitations. You only got 4 years with the case like that. He holds it up 3+ years. In the week in between my mother wrongful deletion and her funeral is when he calls me and say, ma'am, I can't defend you anymore. I'm gonna drop your case. You slipped in your dress. I never looked at the surveillance cameras before, but if I had seen it, I never would even took you as a client. I never would have took you as a client. And I'm like, huh? How? What sense do that even make? That you never looked at this? Who would even defend somebody without looking at the surveillance first? So I knew that was a lie from the pits of jail. Then he was like, you slipped in your dress. You slipped in your dress. And I seen it. Common sense. If you slip in a dress, you're going to fall forward. You are not going to fall flat on your back. Not even, my knees didn't even bend. It was like just flat back. And my head bounced. That's not going to happen when you slip in your dress. You're going to fall forward. And he drops me. But right before that, he was moving to a big law firm where he would have been a bigger lawyer than he was then. And he was like, you're one of my clients. You're welcome to stay with me, or you're welcome to find another lawyer. I believed in him. I was like, well, I don't know if I could find another lawyer this late in the game, and you're going to fight for me and this and that. So I'll just stay with you. And I didn't know what to do. Soon as he went over to that big law firm, this is what he did. He dropped me. Which he could have just told me, because I asked him, what do you think? Oh, I can't advise you on that. This is your choice. And then as soon as he goes over to the big law firm, he drops me, blames it all on me, says that I slipped in my dress and I'm dropping you as a client. He was lying. He was like, and I'm like, you have to send me that. Ain't no way the surveillance even looks like that. There's no way the surveillance could even look like I slipped in my dress. I slipped in water. And then the super center was trying to be slick. They would not give me the surveillance from the door where I was walking through the door. They give me the surveillance way from the customer service. It was a far camera. And even on that horrible, they tried to find the most horrible surveillance to give me. And even on that one, you could tell that I slipped and fell. But they didn't want to show where there was water all over the floor. I believe because of these dealings that many attorneys have with these big companies, that new company he was going to most likely had some type of agreement with that super center. Many of them lawyers will not even take them on. So I lost. And they went to fire me. They started writing me up. I had health care insurance, and they said, no, your health care cannot cover your being seen and getting back to health, because this is a slip and fall. You have to basically sue the company to be able to get treated. So I was in a stuck position. I have no choice but to sue you. And the moment I started the lawsuit, they started writing me up at work. I went from no write-ups to about fired. Because they hurt me. That's how the system does you. Another situation, my identity theft. My identity was stolen. And my identity was stolen by a minor. It was basically a grown man that the minor had ran away, and the grown man was leading the minor in how to assume somebody's identity, and basically just started a whole life. Even got me married. I was married. I don't even know if I'm divorced now. I was married under that person. I had so many things going on. My financial state was horrible. Like, it's so many things in my life that happen. People like to tell you if you're not where you want to be, it's your own fault. Baby, how was all this my fault? I didn't call all this into my life. But that's what people are going to tell you. They're going to look down on you and say, well, if you couldn't make it, it's because you didn't try hard enough. But it's not really so. It's because the systems are not set up for you to really make it. So it caused so much issues. And they said if she does anything wrong, we'll arrest you. Because it's under your name. I needed papers to clear my name. And then she didn't even live in this state. She was in Georgia and I'm in Florida. But they were still leaving. I mean, student loans. I had to pay the student loan off myself. They would not release me from that, even though it was identity theft. I had to pay it. That's the only way I got rid of that student loan. It was so much financial debt. And I needed paperwork from the judge to clear my name. Well, I could not get that paperwork because they said that the case is sealed because she was a minor. So I couldn't get no justice. I had nothing from the judge clearing me to get out of that financial ruin because the person was a minor and the case is sealed. Not even the victim. You know how they love to say they protect the victims? Where was my protection? So that took years to get out of that hole. Then y'all know this system here took my husband. My husband's been wrongfully incarcerated for the last 23 years. It's been 24 years that we've been fighting this case. And I believed in this system, and I believed that he was innocent until proven by evidence, by this and that, guilty. But when they didn't prove him guilty, didn't have a shred of evidence, got shifting testimonies from different witnesses, you got shifting testimonies from 3 officers, don't even line up. The arresting officer has a history, a jacket of excessive force that ended in deletion. And then when asked about that, him and his other officers on that case did not line up. So they're not truthful when they do something. He changed the scene of the alleged crime in my husband's case so that it would line up that my husband would be at one place and not the other, where he really was. And you can see from the police report to the testimony in trial how it changes. Nobody noticed that. He also, when the alleged victims of this fabricated crime happened, this robbery, supposed to be a robbery of $80, is what they wrote in their sworn statements. Well, when they searched my husband and said, well, he don't have $80 on him, he has 60. That officer gave the sworn affidavits back to the individuals and told them to change it. He doesn't have 80. Cross it out and write in 60. That's how it can align to him. So they forced my husband to be the perpetrator in a alleged robbery that never happened. Of 60, I mean $80. I mean 80, I mean $60. And then asked why it doesn't align. They said they were so shooken up that they wrote 80 but meant 60. They took their life for it. Um, y'all know so much about this case. It's hard to explain it all, but they attached a weapon to my husband, which was able to escalate the time from 10 years to 40, but never recovered a weapon. Nobody powed. Those two individuals that lied and said 80, 60, this and that, never powed. By the time they got to court, they worked this all the way up from they were going to be being robbed of $60. It went from that. In court, they claimed that, oh, and by the way, he said he was going to take us to the lake to DROWN us. Like, where the heck that come from? And asked why, if that was true, didn't he go to the lake that was right behind the alleged club that he was supposed to be at? They said because he was going to a more secluded lake. And then also asked, that's detrimental. Why didn't you write that in your sworn statements, if that's true? Oh, we were so shooken up that we forgot it. Both of y'all made the same mistakes. How? How could both of y'all make the same errors and forget the same things? Like, this was something they concocted in between the time of having the initial report and amending the initial report moments later after finding out the truth, and then adding all this other stuff so that it can work the crime up to the fullest extent. I'm sorry. They got rid of cameras. The hotel, they claimed there were no cameras in the parking lot. Another robbery happened in the parking lot. They say they found their suspect by the cameras. But y'all told us there's no cameras, which I was not boo-boo the fool to believe that in the beginning. How could there not be cameras at a hotel and a club, a nightclub? Okay, Marcello say he was at the 7-Eleven. Can we get the surveillance proving he was at 7-Eleven and not at the club on the next street over? No, they're too expensive to pull. You can't afford it. I can't. My law firm can't afford it. But your law firm can afford to, once trial is over and they're supposed to drop charges against your client, your law firm can afford to spend their own money, your own money, to go out of town from Florida to Vermont because they ran off. They ran away from the situation and ignored 3 other subpoenas for you to bring them back, subpoena them in person, which most likely was forced. Subpoena them in person and force them to come back to Florida to testify, and then their testimonies don't even line up. Their testimonies are all over the place. One is, he's on substances, so he's like this during trial. Fidgeting, shaking, jerking. Was not fit to stand trial. But they took his word. This is why I don't believe in this system. Because time after time after time after time, it has showed me, because the system is more than just the criminal justice system. It's the systems of the world, the health system, this system, that system. All these systems are connected. Though we try to see them individually, a person that connects the pieces is introverted rock star. He connects those pieces. He'll show you how this instance over here really does have something to do with this instance right here. They're connected. Stop seeing them as 2 separate situations. They're together. But this is why I don't believe in this system, because it showed me I blindly believed in it. I'm legally blind. And that's a metaphor to me, legally blind. I'm truly legally blind, but most people are mentally legally blind. They don't really know how it works for real. And your eyes are not opened until a situation hits your home, your household, your close loved one, and then you truly deal with the system and you realize, huh? How they able to do the other situation when I was almost wrongfully arrested when going to see my husband, visit my husband. My husband's already wrongfully incarcerated. So I have witnessed what can happen. My husband during 2021, I believe, that's when that the pandemic was like in its height, and the officers were not following protocols. Those things they're supposed to do, but they choose not to do it, and they're still doing their job. They're still quote unquote doing their job. They weren't following those protocols. And my husband wrote a grievance. This is the way you're supposed to play it out when you're in prison. To handle it the right way is to write a grievance. But everybody knows when you write those grievances, it's like putting a target on you. And I had already let him know, when you do this. But my husband likes to take a stand. And that's just how he is. He's going to stand up. I say, when you do this, they're going to retaliate. It's always retaliation. Anytime we report things that's happening, anything, it's retaliation. And how they retaliated is because they knew I was coming to visitation. They knew I was coming alone. Rushed me into visitation. I drove 7 hours to see my husband. The prior time I was going to see my husband, I drove 7 hours and got 6 hours of 1 hour away when I got a call saying that they're on quarantine. Turn around and go home. So this time I drive all the way up there and I'm already expecting the worst, that they're going to be on quarantine again. But no, this time they let me in 5 minutes, no waiting out front, rushed me in there. I had a 5-minute visit before they call my license plate, pull me out, and say, dogs hit on my car. This was completely not by protocol because I've been strip searched. Y'all that story is very emotional of when they strip searched me just because they wanted to. And I was on my cycle for a button, and they knew it was the button. It wasn't until I had to squat butt naked, dripping, that they said, oh, it's your button. Made me do all of that. That was so humiliating because they had the power to do so. So I know whenever you're searching me or my vehicle, there's supposed to be paperwork. Where's the paperwork? They gave me no paperwork when you decline a search of your person or your vehicle, they're supposed to provide paperwork of you either agreeing or not agreeing. They didn't give me nothing. Nothing. And then this big old huge guy, substances in your car. The dogs hit on your car. Where's the dogs, sir? Please show me the dogs and show me the dogs hit on my car. We put them up. It's Florida. It's hot. They can't be out here. But dogs hit on your car. If I search your vehicle and I find anything, you're going to jail. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable. See, y'all with that blind faith, y'all let them search your vehicle. You ain't finna search my vehicle. I ain't got nothing. But guess what? You can put something in my car, and whose word is my word against yours? And who gonna win? Who gonna win? It ain't gonna be me that win. You know they always win. Whether they right or wrong, they win. No, you can't search my vehicle. That same officer that Marcello wrote the grievance on laughs at me. He says, I don't know. if you're his wife or if you're his daughter. But your visitations are canceled indefinitely. And that's all over the state of Florida. And smiled as I walked off crying because my husband's already incarcerated, wrongfully incarcerated for another god darn at that time almost 20 more years, and you done canceled my visits indefinitely. But guess what? God had the final say in that situation. So indefinitely to you meant God said just take a minute, take a breather. 7 hours is too long for you to be driving. You got sciatica you can't hardly see. You shouldn't be going through this. Just sit down, my child. That's what that meant. And he restored my visits. But when I end up calling, I'm like, okay, so I want the report. Who even called? They said no. I called the sheriffs, the police, and there's no report of anybody calling anybody on me for my car with substances. They gave me no paperwork. They went by no rules. And then when I filed a complaint to the higher ups, because that's what they called Tallahassee, when I filed a complaint, they said it was a random search. That was a lie. There was only 5. This is the height of that time, that shutdown. There were hardly any visitors. So I'm the random out of 5 visitors. That was a random search that I denied. And it had nothing to do with the grievance. Now, the grievance was interfered by that officer. It's supposed to be put in a lockbox. They got it out the lockbox, showed the man that Marcello wrote the grievance on that, hey, this inmate wrote this grievance on you, and he took action. That's when he's planned his get back when I was coming back. So can you imagine, my love for my husband's on the table. We raised our child through prison visits already because this system failed us. And now I'm going to lose my visitations with my husband. The only thing that we have. I'm going to lose that. Do you know how hard it was to refuse that search? Because I knew I didn't have nothing. But I couldn't prove that they weren't going to put nothing on me. Allegedly. Do you know how hard it was to deny that? But what if my love for him had clouded my real vision and I had to let them search? I had just graduated college at 39 the week before. So I'm finna come up here with this. That's not even how I move. I don't know nothing about substances. He kept saying you had DOP, you got DOPE, you have DOP. I had to ask somebody specifically, what is DOPE? What substance does that refer to? Because I didn't even know that. But he assumed I had to know. What about that time I was pulled over and I was working overnight? And the officer pulled me over and asked me when the last time I've been to jail. And I'm like, why is it assumed that I had to? I didn't say nothing. First, he was like, what? Do you know why I'm pulling you over? I'm like, no. I always tell him, no, I don't know. You tell me, basically. And he's like, when's the last time you've been to jail? And I'm like, but honestly, I've never been to jail. I have no record. Grace of God, grace be to God, I have no record. But you're asking me when the last time, like I frequent flyer, jail. You're assuming. He runs my license. See, I got nothing. I ain't got no tickets. Oh, you're free to go. Injustice after injustice after injustice. And those that perpetuate the injustice have no consequences. In the real scheme, you know, if you believe in God, that they do have consequences. They're going to have to reap what they've sown. But to the visual eye, it looks as though there's no consequences for it. And it's very hard to think that, hey, this person got away with this. Like, even going back to the doctor that did what he did to my mother, he said he was under so much stress, he ended up having a heart attack. And his whole career is ruined behind it. So, no, he's not deleted like my mother's deleted, but he got some type of consequence. Because he could have saved her. He could have made some attempt to save her. He made no attempt. So I've just seen so many instances in my life where even when my apartment was broken in, already I'm the men in our community allegedly were removed so that our layer of protection, the cornerstone of the family, is gone. The family is less strong without the man. So strategically, the man was removed from our family. If it was for, it was different ways, because you can't remove every man in the same way. It was the promotion of, you know, all this extra marital sex. It was the promotion of substances so that we can either get them out the house and with different baby mamas and this and that drama, and not really y'all married. And then we can get them in prison. We could, all these different ways, but they were strategic ways. Even with the assistance, we'll assist you, but you better not have that man there. All these strategic ways to break down the family. So you took my husband. We were actually together. He was actually viable. He wasn't this stereotypical be okay man, because that's what, and many are not, but they want to feed that stereotype so that people will always automatically on sight see you that way. They will automatically see you that way. That's why they perpetuate these stereotypes. And you took him. So now I'm unprotected. I'm living alone with my little girl, and guys try to break in, bust in on me. I'm unprotected. I felt so unsafe. They didn't even pursue those guys. I filed a police report. Nothing came of that. So anytime they had the opportunity, the system had the opportunity, God dog it, they let me down every time. So this is why I don't believe in the system. My opinion, my experiences, and for entertainment. I guess your entertainment, because it wasn't entertaining when it happened to me. All right, guys, I'll talk to y'all later, because my daughter calling, my cousin calling. I'm not answering because I don't want to interrupt my life, girl. But okay, I'll talk to you later. Hiss your girl Cadillac.